I live that nocturnal life now, so when I try to live during the daytime, I unfortunately wake up at 5:30 in the morning ready to start the day. I predicted this would happen and it did. I hope to go back to sleep soon because I don't have to be anywhere for at least another 6 hours. Hello. I'm currently visiting my sister right now, so I'm in her guest room. And one of the intriguing things about staying in my sister's guest room is that there is a whole shelf of books. So I'm going to insert a picture of that now. Look at all these books. There are so many books on the shelves that I could probably keep on coming here for decades and not get through them all at this point. So I've learned that I haven't needed to bring a book with me whenever I visit my sister now. So last night I found this book. It's called Solutions and Other Problems by Ali Broche. So it's the sequel to Hyperbole and a Half, which if I realized she released a sequel, I'd forgotten about it and I just found it now. So it's like, well, I gotta read it. And there's a couple parts of this book that like emotionally gutted me that I'm not gonna spoil in case you haven't read the book yet, but there is one chapter I do want to talk about because it seems like she wrote it for me. It's called The Loving Kindness Exercise. And this is a part of the book where she talks about how she does this meditation to become a kinder person, and instead she goes on a completely different tangent. And we're just going to go bit by bit about this thing. So she starts with, she's going through the process of meditating where she's like given prompts and then she takes the prompts in the wrong way, which honestly is what happens to me every time I do a meditation exercise. So a couple years ago, did a bunch of meditation exercises despite the fact that I couldn't visually picture the stuff in my mind, which makes no sense. it was like personality tests, like these will help you find out your personality. It's like visualize yourself on a beach, and it's like, well, I got a faint impression of myself on a beach, but I don't quite see myself there. It's kind of like if on a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is complete darkness and 10 is I see it in detail and I have like the smells and the sounds and whatnot, I'm a like a 1.5. I'm kind of like what happens when you carbon paper something and you get the faint impression, but it's not a complete impression, you know? I don't think that's her, honestly. But she talks about how she has to imagine a person she doesn't know very well, so she chooses the grocery store attendant. And it's like it has to be what the guy loves most, and obviously he probably doesn't love groceries that much, that's just his job. So she decides his favorite thing in the world is to knit. As you can imagine, every time I come across someone knitting in like a book or a movie, I get super jazzed. It's like, oh yeah, I get to see this activity that a person does. So she's explains how she imagines that he's absolutely crazy about knitting, but she has no basis for this in reality. It's just a thought experience that her mind latched onto, and it's like, okay. Like this is his life now. He's now a knitter. Like as she says, I saw the yarn and my brain was like, yarn, I see yarn, I know what yarn means. This guy knits and nothing else. So then she goes on to explain that she sees this guy knitting in his home. But it's not just an ordinary home. Yeah. So, as she writes, he's sitting on a couch. It's a knitted couch. And this is for sure his home. You can tell because it's decorated exclusively with knitting. His chairs, his lamps, the floor, they're knitted squares just tacked to the walls. This isn't merely a guy who loves knitting. It's a whole alternative lifestyle. So when I see this, I think two different things. One, I don't necessarily have that living room. But considering I have a YouTube channel where I do weird knitting stuff, we can say at this point, for me, knitting is a whole alternative lifestyle, and I feel so seen here. Also, when it comes to making a living room like this actually seems like a really fun challenge to make, so I think I'm going to make this living room at some point. Maybe not a full-size living room, but like a small model version of the knitted living room. Obviously, we're going to take pictures of this for reference. And then on the next page, there's a picture that says, "Welcome to the Knititarium. All knitting, all the time, no exceptions." That could have been the title of my channel instead of what I got. Too late now. But it gets even better, honestly. It's like, thank you for the ideas, because this gets even better. So she writes, "In a desperate attempt to change course, I turned to extreme countermeasures. What's the opposite of knitting? Being a pirate? It got way worse when I tried to imagine him as a pirate, because I didn't imagine him as a pirate, I imagined the pirate as him. And apparently, that means the pirate acts like this. You may also notice that he has not stopped knitting." So now, she pictures him as a knitting pirate. So now I kind of want to knit while dressed up as a pirate. Which, I did have a costume as a pirate back, I want to say around 2011? Oh, that was nearly 10 years ago. I don't know if I still have my pirate costume, or we still have the things, but I could probably cobble something up. Or at least cobble up something close to this picture. So this is the picture that she imagined. Yeah. So then she tries to imagine that the dude hates knitting, but it's too late. He's a knitter in her mind. And so she mentions how it's weird because she just imagines him being a naked knitting pirate. So then she's like, well, this is too weird. I don't know how to cope with this. So she decides to like start watching him to see like how to stop believing that he's a knitter without any evidence, right? And of course she Googles it, and Google tells her how to cast off. And she's like, I have to come up with a solution for myself. So, I have a solution for you, Ali Broche. I don't know how creepy this is going to sound, or if this is even going to work, But while your grocery store knitting guy may not actually know how to knit, I do. And I am crazy about knitting. So if you would like to put me in your mind instead of grocery store guy as the knitter, feel free to. I will not be offended. It will be an honor. And this may be a weird thing to say, but I mean, you have 2 books about how you're weird. In fact, the next page, you have that. So maybe 2 weirdos getting together like that makes it a little bit less weird, you know? And that is my reaction to chapter 17 of Solutions and Other Problems. And now I have not only a good laugh, but I have ideas for other videos that you may or may not see soon. We will see. That was today's entertainment. Have a nice day.